Did you know that great golfers have a pattern of movement that sends their golf swing in one direction that leads to great strikes and longer shots with ease? Unfortunately, 90% of amateur golfers, their swings move in the opposite direction, and often what they're working on is actually sending them further and further away from great ball striking, and they just get shorter and shorter as they get older. In this video, I want to share with you how you can reverse this swing direction around so you can start pushing towards greater ball strikes and, more importantly, effortless power. I shared it with a recent student of mine, Paul, and that's all we did. We simply reversed his pattern to create the simple strikes and consistency, and more importantly, the effortless power that he really, really wanted. Can't wait to share it with you. Before I do though, look, if you're new to the channel, so your first lesson of mine, please consider subscribing. I release videos just like this one every single week to try and help you improve your game. But you never have to remember a thing. Everything we do here, I'll put into a free download or practice guide in the description box below. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna start with showing you what all these great players are doing to strike the ball solidly every time and generate effortless power. Then what I'll do is I'll show you the pattern they're using to do it each time, right? So that you can basically potentially reverse your pattern and start to copy it. Super, super simple. So what you'll see with any great ball striker, you know that ultimately when we're striking a ball now, you've got to strike the ball first. You don't want to have any ground contact behind the golf ball. We want to strike the ball, and then we want to strike the ground afterwards. So we know, hopefully if you're regular to my channel, that the ball gets struck before the club gets to the bottom of its swing arc, yeah? Now, to do that, the best players make it easy by simply making sure that their hips are a long way forward, almost to the point where if you look at my belt buckle here, it's right over my lead heel. But their head, as they do this, is in the middle of their stance. And this is really, really important. I'll explain that in a second. I had a golfer recently who was striking the ball in the turf, but his head moved with this, okay, because he had a different pattern. And he struck the ball, but he had a massive slice, okay? So what else does this help with? Well, if you can get your hips forward in the golf swing, what happens as I get my hips forward, this is a great way to keep the club tracking on line. As it tracks on line, we can hit the ball nice and straight. If we don't get the hips forward, then we do what a recent student of mine, Adam, did, and actually get the hips going away from the golf ball, actually going backwards. Two things happen. You start to strike the ground behind the golf ball, but what you also do, the club starts to come over the top, and you start to get slices and big pulls to the left. So getting your hips forward naturally, and I'll show you the pattern in a second, naturally helps you to not only strike the ball, it helps you take the club on line. What else does it do? Well, if you can get that weight forward nice and early with the belt buckle here, what I'm now going to do is I'm going to use that force to push off and accelerate the golf club, so it also helps me hit the ball loads further too. So how do you create this pattern for yourself? Well, the first thing to know is, and this is what I explained to Paul, you've got to understand the natural motion of the body. It's three-dimensional, right? It sounds complicated, doesn't it? But it really isn't. So the golf swing works around, yeah, we know that. It starts here and the club works around. So our bodies are working in like a roundabout fashion to a certain degree. They're working around. What else needs to happen? Well, the golf club doesn't just work around, does it? Because we don't play baseball. It needs to work up. So ultimately, the body also works, look, in a side-to-side fashion. So the club, in a sense, the body needs to work in such a way, which kind of, in a sense, works upwards and downwards. So the body needs to work also a little bit side to side, right? And the third and final thing is well, it also works like this. There's another way. And you'll see with the best players where they'll finish and you'll see the little bit of an hips going forward and their body going backwards, right? So there's three things happening naturally in your golf swing. And our aim as a golfer is to blend all those three things. My question to you though is this. Which one of those three things do you think the best players have in abundance, but amateurs don't? Or even a better question, which one of those three movements would help you get the hips forward whilst keeping your head more centered? Which one? It is ultimately the side to side one. Can you see this? So if I start to move my body side to side like this, backwards and forwards, I naturally, without trying, get the hips going forward whilst my head stays centered. The best players have this in abundance. Amateurs have completely the opposite pattern. They are scared. They've often been told that's swaying. I'm going to prove to you in a second it's not, right? They've been told to avoid swaying. So what they then do is stay still. Now the problem is if they stay still, they've taken any of this motion away. Now all they've got is this and this. So the problem now is that they've got around, and now what you get is players who force this out. Now they start spinning backwards, yeah? Because they've got none of this. They've tried to stay still. They've tried to stay under control. So what I want to teach you now is this force, which has often been taken out by players, if you can put it back in, you will start to create the most natural, instinctive, and flowing motion, and you'll start to get those hips further and further forward and start to strike your ball. Let me show you how. So super excited. I brought Leo in, my videographer, to kind of demonstrate a little bit here, because this is super, super cool. I believe if you get more of this into your golf swing, you're going to be amazed, really amazed at how naturally you'll start to strike it. So Leo, all we've got a heavy object. You could use a bag of shopping. So the first part of developing the pattern is to learn to feel it really naturally. So Leo's just got a fairly heavy bag. He's holding it in front of him here. Yep. And what I want you to do, Leo, is just swing the bag backwards and forwards. Okay. Backwards and forwards. And you'll notice, do you see how Leo, even just to start with there, started a bit forward. Now what's going to do is you're going to naturally, use the low body and move side to side.
Yeah, I can really feel my feet pushing and working.
Now, a lot of people feel that they're going to sway if they do this. But if you look from Leo, keep swinging as fast as you can, feel that momentum, side to side, side to side, side to side. Now you'll notice here, Leo's not swaying, but can you feel weight going right to left?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
definitely, right? Right to left. Now the other thing here is a lot of people say, well, what about the rotation? Do you see Leo's hips rotating?
Yeah, I can feel them.
I do, right? So Leo naturally already has, because he's swinging the bag up here and here, naturally already has some rotation in his motion. But what he wants to do is he wants to balance that rotation out with this. Now you'll notice as you're doing this, Leo, are you having to consciously keep your head backwards?
No, I'm just doing it naturally.
Doing it naturally?
Yeah, I'm not even thinking of it.
No, think of it, right? His hips are going forward and his head is staying exactly what you see with the best players back here. Can you feel why, Leo? Have interest?
Just by chucking this weight and trying to keep it in control.
Yes.
My body's just working naturally.
Very naturally. So we could look at a golf swing and say, weight forward, hips forward, head stay centered, but that's just kind of band-aids. You want to have a motion, a feeling that's going to help create this.
Yeah.
Cool. Any questions?
One question would be, with the side to side,
yes,
I feel like I could top it potentially, top the golf ball.
Really good question, right?
Yeah.
So, if you move, if all you did was move side to side and rocked excessively like this, you would indeed potentially hit the ground behind the golf ball and top it.
Sure.
Potentially, right? But what we're saying here is the golf swing is almost like Goldilocks. We're putting ingredients in to complement your already ingredient, right? Now, what I'm seeing with too many amateur golfers, I am seeing excessive amount of rotation like this. That's not going to go away, right? And if it did go away and all you did was this, then yeah. But you can see here, it never does for amateurs. They need more of this kind of motion in their golf swing here so that to complement what you already have, which is excessive rotation. And you can see here, as I'm swinging, I'm not swaying.
No.
I'm staying in balance, and you'll notice if I start to really ramp this up, you'll even see my hips going even further forward and my head almost going like this, and it's almost acting as a brake.
Yeah, sure.
And I'll put some videos of maybe some of the best players, Tommy Fleetwood, Scotty Scheffler. You'll see their heads naturally hanging back almost here as their hips are going forward. This is how they create it. I don't see this with amateur golfers. What I actually see is everything going forward, right?
Sure.
Now, do we then tell them to hold back? No. They've just got a pattern and direction of movement that naturally creates this. And what we're going to do now is simply reverse it so they can achieve all these great positions in a real natural way. So let's start hitting some golf balls now and start continuing how you develop this pattern. Now, after step one, what my students love is their body motions are, in a sense, they're moving like professional motions without them having to think about it. And this is the real crux to this, is when you start swinging an object in this kind of motion, the hips move forward because that's what they're designed to do. The head stays more central because this is the pattern that you've put in play. You're not having to think about this stuff, so you can naturally allow the club to flow beautifully with this. as opposed to stay still and try your best to kind of make sure everything's in the right place, right? So once you've done that, before jumping in and hitting a golf shot, maybe do it with a couple of clubs. So you're going to make the load a little bit lighter. So you do the exact same thing with maybe a couple of clubs. Again, same thing. Look, I'm just swinging right to left, but backwards and forwards. Really non-continuous motions, by the way. Really just getting a sense. And what this does, you can see here, there's no evidence of me, in a sense, that head going forward. It's just not natural. I don't need to do this. It just doesn't even come into my vocabulary, right? So learn that sensation first. And if we look at the images again, you'll see even though I'm moving like what feels like side to side, you won't see me hip swaying. In fact, my hips stay pretty much on, as I'm going back, at this angle. They're not kind of sliding like this in any shape or form. So let's have a look at this in action, and then I'll keep showing you how you can start developing this pattern. So as I'm stood over the golf ball, all I'm going to do here is just imagine the bag, and I'm going to almost avoid the urge, which I'm seeing with a lot of players, to rotate. If anything, what we're doing in reality, we're going to, in a sense, just get a sense of this real pressure moving into this kind of foot here to swing the club, and then again, look, really getting that sensation that the pressure's moving this way and pushing side to side. So a lot more pushing side to side to get that kind of forward motion than around and around. Let's have a look at this. Just for me, just feels so natural. If you look on camera here, you'll see that my hips are so much far forward than they were when they started. And this is, in a sense, why I'm able to generate this amount of power, let's say with a 7-9. And still look, my low point, the bottom of the swing is after the golf ball. Now, just one thing to bear in mind when we're doing this. Remember, I said it's about balancing these kind of motions. We do need a bit of a round, right? So what I'll do with some players is just to kind of, in a sense, help them experience this a little bit more, is balance this out, is say, look, yes, use maybe a stick in the ground like this, and what you'll see here is even though I am moving side to side, can you see how from here, there's a stick in the middle of my backside. My pocket here, as I press, as I move side to side, I'm still moving that pocket to this side of that shaft very, very naturally. So I've still got naturally amount of turn. This club is still working around. I aren't doing this way, right? I am swinging the club, and as I swing that golf club side to side, this moves here, and then as I come through, look, I'm gonna go this way, and look at how far forward I am now of that shaft. This is all we want to start to play around with. And it's the simplest way I know of helping you get forward, change your entire motion to start to have a lot more of this motion in your golf swing to balance out this motion. If you do that, you're going to start to see so much more catapult also in your swing. Notice this. How do the best players in the world catapult their club? They create this motion, don't they? I'll show you in another video on a driver. They catapult it. How do they do that? Well, if I'm going here and I move this way, what's happening? I'm putting the brakes on here, my head stays here, that catapults the club. If all I've got is rotation, now we look like this. Everything is working forward. There's no speed, there's just nothing, right? So add some of this into your swing. If you happen to slice it or struggle with power, I promise you, this is something that you're going to be lacking. Look, if you enjoy this video, give it a thumbs up, maybe share it with one of your friends, and just give it a smash like, because I love this motion. It really helps so many students. I'll put a free download practice guide in the description box below. If you want some personalized help with your game, come to DannyMaude.com. And look, if you want to know how this helped me personally hit another, 10 mile an hour worth of clubhead speed, check this lesson I had with one of the world long drive champions. Incredible. But until next week, have a wonderful golfing week.